Love, blessings, peace, and prosperity. Divine, beautiful soul. You are tuned into the Cafecito and Tarot Podcast. It is me, Nicole P., your spiritual barista, serving up wisdom, guidance, and inspiration from the cards. My love, I'm recording this episode on Sunday, April 12th, 2026. And get out your cup, my love, because I am about to pour you some brew, some taro brew, that is. And this is the reintroduction, restarted, shake it up episode to bring the Cafecito and Tarot podcast back to life. And I should say, it's also the episode that is bringing me back to life. So if you're new here, hey, welcome. Come on in. I'm going to reintroduce myself, talk a little bit about the changes here in the Cafecito and Tarot podcast, maybe a little bit, tad bit of life update, and then share some info or my reflections on the on tarot cards of the year, mainly the Wheel of Fortune with elements of the Magician. And I have a big aha about this card that like came to me from like my personal experience when I was crying at my altar, and I was like, "Oh, this is a really key point of the Wheel of Fortune. This is a key point of Jupiter." I'll get into that in just a little bit. So, if you're new here, hang out, I hope you vibe and flow with the brew that I serve, and yeah, welcome, welcome, welcome. And for my tarot brew crew, for those of you who have been with me through the years, what is good in your world? Ooh, I'm raising, let me wait. I'm raising my cafecito to you and I'm waving it all up in the air, waving around like I really do care because I'm sipping on some delicious golden elixir. But my love, I'm seriously raising my cafecito to you. Like those of the tarot brew crew who have been with me from time, either from the beginning, from halfway through whatever part of the journey, mad L to the O to the VE to you for coming back, for believing in me, for just the love. Just the love. So let me raise my cafecito in there once again and let's say salud to life, salud to connections and to just man, doing this dance, right? All right, cheers. Mm, all right, let's get into this. Whew, I don't even know where to begin. Number one, the Cafecito and Tarot podcast is taking on a different shape. It'll be weekly episodes, which I'm excited that I have the energy now to come back into this space that I love so dearly. Um, just a recap for those who may have forgotten, of course, because how are you going to remember every aspect of my life? And if you're new here, so this is kind of just a quick recap of what's happened. Just this move, we moved back to the Midwest the end of 2024. It was a very traumatic move. It was a very traumatic, like uprooting, displaced twice, very toxic landlord situation, and we had no place to live. Spirit took care for us. There were these kind of connections that were made, and here we are back in the Midwest. So it's a very traumatic move. There was a lot of sorrow and grief. I tried to stay out there in the West Coast in the PNW, and it didn't work. And I know this is even though even though I don't understand completely 100% why, divinely guided and protected this move because I went to this space. I was living in had been living the last couple years in the PNW in the Olympic Peninsula, and there was this one area by the water where the vortexes are. And we went to pray by the vortexes and along the Salish Sea, and made offerings to the spirits of the land and the sea, and for guidance and take us, please provide safe passage to where we're to be because we had no place to live and this was happening at the time. My mom was very, very ill. It was undecided if it was going to be hospice or emergency dialysis, and I was like, find us a place in Seattle, Spirit. find us this place in Seattle. And the next day it was not. It was what came up was, or actually the next couple of days was here in the Midwest. So we followed the lead, everything worked out, and we got here, and it just was it was just traumatic. So it takes time to heal from those kind of traumatic life events, those death thresholds, and um, and 2025 was a blur, literally. I don't even have that many pictures, and I'm always one taking pictures. I don't even have that many pictures from 2025. Just the adjustment to coming back to the Midwest after being away for 25 years. I mean, the climate in of itself, number one, with the, winter and then the humidity of summer and the grief, a lot of sorrow, some rage, um, and then, like you know, and the song, right, that from the Rolling Stones, you can't always get what you want, but if you try sometimes, you just might find you get what you need. So Spirit really protected us, and we have what we need currently, and regaining strength and coming back to life. And so I really feel now at this time, it's been a year and a half, that now I'm starting to feel like when I open my eyes, I can say, oh, I'm here. Okay, what's next? I feel like I'm picking off where I left off. So I'm sharing that just to share. And then also too, if you're going through stuff, man, be very gentle with yourself. I think through this cycle, I kept on pushing and trying and like, what's wrong with me? Why can't I get my groove back? Why can't I, restart everything? I went to actually back to work into a 9 to 5 job and a very kind of demanding, toxic corporate like job, not corporate pay, that's for sure. But so that was a different experience that I've ever had. I never sat in front of a computer for like over 8.5 hours a day. Crazy. But anyways, it is what it is. So like all these things. And so I just kept on thinking, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? And now as I'm coming up and rising from the ashes, I was like, oh my gosh, there was nothing wrong with me. So that's a little update. I want to share that with you so you can be gentle, kind, and compassionate with yourself if you're going through some stuff. Okay. It takes time to move through trauma. And yeah. So the Cafecito and Tarot podcast is coming back to life. It's going to be a weekly podcast. I'm looking forward for this space to be where you and I come together over some tecito or some cafecito. I drink a cafecito. If you like tecito, you drink your tea, you have your coffee, whatever it may be, or your hot chocolate, and we talk tarot, right? It's going to be also like the hub where once I have actually filed for my business license again and get that up and going, where I'll be offering readings. You can sign up for readings. I'll have classes, and my botanica, my oils will be coming back. So, yeah. So that was it. So this will be a weekly podcast. I will offer like mini readings for the week and just saying some energies for the week ahead. But there's going to be topics. There's going to be tarot topics, and I want this space to be we're kind of nerding out on some tarot. And if you're looking for those daily tarot brews, the quick daily tarot inspo. The Daily Tarot Brew will have its very own podcast. You can search for it. I've started it, and you can search for it and sign up, get those notifications. And gosh, what else? That's what I gotta say. That's what I gotta say. So, my love, the Wheel of Fortune with elements of the Magician, because 2026, yeah, I know it's like we're coming into like the fourth month of the year, the calendar year. I almost feel like it takes coming into April. It's like for me and my body and just in my spirit, it's like once the spring equinox hits, like here in the northern hemisphere, it's like, oh, okay. You start to feel like the new zodiacal season, the new natural cycle kicks in, and I feel like the first few months of a calendar year are like just really almost like really like this release and integration. And then it's like, boom, Aries season's here. And it's like, let's get the party started, right? And so it's like 2026 is Wheel of Fortune. We have elements of the Magician because it's a 10-year, and then the Magician is one, like 1 + 0 = 1. Now I feel like the Wheel of Fortune is the main star, right? The outfit, yeah, and the Magician is like the accessories or the backup singer, yeah. And so here's the thing, like, okay, so the Wheel of Fortune connection to Jupiter energy, and a very flat interpretation or very flat Western astrological interpretation of Jupiter is that it's an energy of expansiveness. And yes, that's flat and that's very generic, but that's one of the main themes of Jupiter energy. Now, there's a lot to expansiveness, and there's so many different elements. And of course, like anything in life, right? We see something on the surface, but if you dig deeper, you dig deeper, you dig deeper, there's a multitude of layers and meanings that weave a beautiful tapestry, right? Of guidance and cosmic energy. And so the Wheel of Fortune, like what a time to be dancing and open to this energy. I want to acknowledge first and foremost that I do not buy into spiritual bypassing. I do not think that anything is just love and light. Um, I believe in holding infinite possibilities close to our hearts. I believe that this is in an abundant universe, um, that Mother Nature knows the way. And although I do believe, right, due to abusive human practices, Mother Nature, as we see with climate change and so many other elements, is showing us the damage that is being done and will continue to be done. But the spiritual bypassing is I just want to put that reminder that this is not anyway spiritual bypassing, and it's a dance as we're living in settler colonial capitalism and the collapse of this capitalism and the extreme abuses that are thrown at our communities on a daily basis by this extremely um, dysfunctional, abusive administration and supporters. It's a dance between seeing what is happening and experiencing what is happening in the mundane and the everyday and holding on to um, dreams, holding on to hope, continuing forth on our journey. And I want to acknowledge that. Um, that at times it feels heavy to hold hope, and I think in those are the times where and the importance of community, right? And the importance of having shared experiences, and the importance of tapping out in order to tap back in. So I want to acknowledge that, right? When we're talking about expansiveness and the energy of Jupiter, like that sometimes it can feel like, how do I do this? Or how do we do this in these times? And it's ever more important and pressing that we do, because we survive in that way, right? And that's one of our ways that we exude our resilience, by holding on to our divine power and connection to spirituality, to expansiveness on a multitude of levels, to community expansiveness, to love, but in the way of loving what could be, loving our communities, loving our our planet, loving our our natural relatives. And so expansiveness is a theme, right, with this calendar year. And what does that mean in this context, right, of the times that we are living? And one of the elements, one of the things, right, of when we see the Wheel of Fortune, right, one of the themes is about luck, right? It's about opportunities that arise at the right time, this serendipitous, when things are serendipitous. I don't know how else to phrase it. Um, and it's the Wheel of Fortune in this year, is deeper than what one writes down as what is a intention or manifestation, right? So it's deeper than how things show up in the actual mundane. I think the Wheel of Fortune is an energy, and that Jupiter energy is similar to, like, with High Priestess energy, right? When you call forth expansiveness, it's beyond how our dreams and our intentions manifest in the mundane. Now, let me explain, okay? So you may have, right, this intention, these goals, so to speak, and you may have them written out, right? And they may be very methodical, right? And there's definitely magic in numbers, there's magic in planning, there's magic in structure, and those things are very, very important. Yes? It's very important to be able to name things, to also say, okay, here's a goal, or here's an idea. This is how I may come to that number, so to speak, or that goal, or maybe I need to go to school, or whatever it may be, right? Whatever, however it is, right? That very kind of like Virgo kind of earth energy, like systematized in this list, and here we go. And so this energy expansiveness goes beyond that. Once again, there's a purpose and there's a place for numbers, for strategies, for systems and structures, most definitely. The Wheel of Fortune honors that, but the Wheel of Fortune goes down to the root of the energy of expansiveness. The Wheel of Fortune energy in this year is an energy of excavating, of scratching, of digging up ties to people, places, things, to energies, to memories, to whatever it may be that um is blurring our vision and blurring our energy to be open to the expansiveness. Do you feel me? Because here's the thing with expansiveness. Here's the thing with that Jupiterian energy, like this, oh, let me open to these adventures and this, oh, whatever it may be. It's about feeling. It's about how do you want to feel? How do you want to be? Not necessarily what shows up on paper and how it materializes. That's what I wanted to say. It's not about how things materialize. It's rather about the excavation of what is rotted in our bodies, in our minds, in our energy fields, right? That we're being called to tend to and turn it into an elixir of fertilizer. It's an expansiveness that comes from the underworld, is what I feel like in my womb, like what I feel in my heart. It's this expansiveness is in order to rise up and open out and to blossom. There's this excavation, this clawing, this digging, really deep, digging things up in order for them to like disintegrate, in order for them to become fertile, like compost. Yes. And when we set those intentions out for expansiveness, may we be ready that the stuff is going to come out. Things are going to be brought from the underworld up to the surface. It's a very similar energy of a Neptunian energy. And I know we're talking that's very connected to more of like of a water energy. It's delicately tied into the Wheel of Fortune in this year, in this calendar year. And so here's the example that I want to offer to you that I experienced this in my life. And this was the aha moment. So I have a relationship with one of the energies, one of I guess it would be called a deity. And I have a separate altar to this energy, right? To this one spirit. And I had been really calling forth like, oh, there was still like remnants of a connection, and it had to do with my ex. And that's a whole nother story. Anyway, so um and I thought that had subsided. I thought that was done. And I was just praying and praying, praying and say, okay, I'm an Aries rising, so I'm like, "Okay, this is my season. I'm ready to come back to what I love, to my creativity, to tarot, to how I am to be of service to in this world, in this lifetime. I'm ready. Like I'm ready. I'm done with being sad. I'm done with grieving. I'm done. I'm done with exhaustion. Like I'm ready now to live. I'm ready to rise from the ashes. Please just cut it. I'm ready for this expanse. Like cut what needs to be cut out. I'm just ready. And I didn't know that there was anything that needed to come to surface. And after I said that prayer and I called forth, I cast that spell and I did so. And I made a offering to the Wheel of Fortune and to also the magician. So I did like a spell, a ritual around this. Lo and behold, my love, within a week, some things surfaced. Like these pictures came up of my ex and him living his life, and looks like he's got a new person in his life. And there was so much that came up that had been unresolved. And it just was like, and I was hysterical for a few days because it touched on so many different things, but it was still some chords that were connected to past, to him, to even the beautiful, wonderful PNW and the grief. And I was like, where does this come from? I thought this was all resolved. And it was that call for expansiveness. And I called to just release it. And it came. And it came in that sort of way. I haven't hardly been on Facebook and seen them. And it came up in these pictures. And then I talked to him because I did talk to him because I handle sometimes some of his mail things, like the actual like physical mail and whatever. And I called him out. I said, hey, um, because he was kind of like dissing me or whatever. And I was like, just I called him out. I called him out. I said, hey, this. And then of course I don't hear from him. He ghosts me and then he calls back at the time I see this picture and then a total narcissist behavior, put it back all on me and I just flipped out. I didn't flip out. I cried. I was hysterical for a couple of days and I just prayed and I realized this was it. Like it came back and I remember saying, how did I live with this person for 17 years? Of course, this isn't going to go away like that. But all the flooding of so much, and then of memories of his narcissism, and then of me staying and all that stuff. But I tell you something, I prayed at my altar. I prayed so hard and I cried and I cried and I cried. Within a day, I felt new. I felt new, like it was really dissolved. And so there's this element of the Wheel of Fortune in this year of excavating, like bringing the things up. So my point is that one of the aspects of the Wheel of Fortune is, of course, like flow, right? And gosh, there's so much more to say about this, but one of the things is be prepared and be aware that as you call forth for this expansiveness, that it's a deep expansiveness, right? It's also around our beliefs of our worthiness, our beliefs of our capabilities and in our intelligence, right? There's this energy of really of that and really washing away or burning bridges to roads that we don't need to be going back on. Like that's going to come up and that's the other element. That's the other piece of it, okay? That and then from there, having a devotion and being dedicated to meet spirit halfway. Sometimes it's a quarter way, sometimes it's 3/4 of the way. That's the other piece of expansiveness is for us as humans to do our part, right? To move and groove and flow. And it's not just that we put it out there and then we don't do nothing and it's just going to all from the sky, right? It's that we work in relationship with Jupiter, with the Wheel of Fortune, that we open up to the energies of the magician and not necessarily like you have all that you need, but rather of like a trusting in our divine brilliance, our trusting in our ability to figure things out. And it's not really what we have tangible, but it's like this divine connection to infinite wisdom. And the wisdom that we don't have, may we be open to receive and be in community and connection with others that may complement what may not be our greatest strengths, right? Or areas that we even want to grow in, right? So expansiveness of our energies, expansiveness of our connections to one another, and of intelligence and divine brilliance, and doing our part, right? To meet spirit, doing our part to actually also engage with community, engage in co-creation and the mundane and the subconscious and the like super conscious. And so that's one aspect of the Wheel of Fortune I feel that doesn't get talked about as much as that when we open it's expansiveness of energy, it's expansiveness of this like really deep rootedness in our bodies and in our spirits. And from that, right, the tangibles begin to show up. The physical um manifestations appear in some way, shape, or form. And the other piece of it is to not hold on so tight. It reminds me of that song by Journey, of the song by the 80s, The Wheel in the Sky Keeps on Turning. How does it go? Something like, the wheel in the sky keeps on turning, don't know where I'll be tomorrow, right? So it's like allowing that things continuously move and flow. And we may not like how things move and flow, but where is our free will? Where are the ways that we are able to be part of change, to make change. And also, there's an element to, if I don't know if it's karmic cycles. I don't know if it's something that we sign up as when we enter into these bodies. But there's also the energy with the Wheel of Fortune in this calendar year is the realization and the awareness of things that are on our path that are ours to experience, that are ours to learn from, and really being open to that. And they may be caca, and it may be not caca, and it may be sometimes caca and sometimes not caca or whatever it may be, but it's ours to learn, it's ours to experience, it's ours to move through. Um, and yeah, there's this awareness, or not awareness, not that the word. There's just this realization, like this aha, like, oh, okay, like I am on my path. I am always on my path, right? And even questioning my path is part of my path. The Wheel of Fortune is so much about this surrender and this also of like, okay, I am in this body, and there are certain assignments that I may have chosen, I may have signed up for. Um, and there are certain chapters, there's certain struggles, there's certain things that are part of my path. And all of this within the settler colonial capitalistic framework that we are living in. All this within the like extreme abuse that we are experiencing, um, you know, mentally, socially, like, in our psychology of our being, but individually and collectively and historically, right? Because there's threads of the historic dysfunctionality and abuses that we're seeing now tied to the past and the modern day, genocides and colonization that is happening in current day context. So all of this within that context, we cannot deny there's no spiritual bypassing of what we are living with and through in this current day, currently, right? On a local, national, and global level. And also acknowledging too those influences on the mundane, right? That's another thing. I think with that Wheel of Fortune of us also being able to realize what we have control over and what we do not have control over. For example, right? I could say, okay, we live here now. We have a really great rental. I'm in this micro city that's not the most vibrant, inspiring location for me, but it's really great for right now. I see that, right? It's very good right now. We're divinely guided and protected. This is a chance to like regroup, get our feet, on the ground again, regain energy, get like some financial stability. And I may say, gosh, I really want to go to LA. I would really want to live on the West Coast. I would go back to the PNW. Now, that doesn't mean if that doesn't manifest that something's wrong with my manifestation. What it means is that I have to also think about the mundane. I have to think about what is affordability in this current context. I am the main provider for my mom and myself. What makes sense? Like, what makes sense in the mundane, right? There's that dance between our intentions and setting our manifestations, and also realizing that there's aspects of the mundane that influence our lives, right? That have influence over the Wheel of Fortune. That doesn't mean that things could not change within a year and I will have access to a lot more funds to be able to change locations for where I would like to. But currently, this is the cards that have been dealt. And how do I open to the medicine, the lessons, and what is here for me in the current context? May it be all that I had wanted? No, but it's all that I needed. It's what Spirit has offered. And it's a surrender to the experience. It's not throwing in the towel and not being that believing there's not infinite possibilities. However, we are living in times that call for, in my opinion, for my household, to have a certain more awareness of resources and to make sure that we're protected and that we're safe and that we have a place to live that's safe and secure for our healing, for my mother's healing and her health, right? So I think there's those elements too with that Wheel of Fortune is that we can see what we're currently living in and also make choices and surrender to what is going to be the safest, healthiest options for ourselves. That's what I have. That's what I have on that. I feel like there's more that's going to be kind of digging up, but that really big thing, it hit me when that whole thing with my ex, and I cannot believe it. It just came up, and I was just like, it came out of nowhere. But then it was that aha, and I felt like I heard it. I heard it from spirit, and I didn't hear it like in the words like spirit said, yes, Nicole, this is what the Wheel of Fortune is about. But I heard it in a feeling, and I felt it in my body, and I remember holding on to it, said, I have to share this because it's like, okay, if you got to make space, right? In order for expansiveness, we got to make space, right? We got to make space in our bodies, in our psyches, in our spirits. We got to make space for those things that we want to see come into our life, the experiences, the energies, the feels. And that's what that Wheel of Fortune is about, that energy, the feels, the experiences. And so I know I'll have more to share. And I think I really want to tap into more of the magician energy in a future episode. I pulled 3 cards, and I pulled the 7 of Pentacles, the Page of Pentacles, and the Page of Swords, and I thought that was really interesting. So, I feel like in this upcoming, week, especially it's very interesting astrology for the upcoming week. The Friday on the new moon in Aries, there's like 7 celestial bodies, like cosmic bodies that are going to be in Aries. And of course, there's so much, obviously much more depth to as far as the relationship to other planets and the degrees, etc. But the fact to have like that intense Mars Aries energy, like initiation, and there's, of course, that's very flat as well. So I mean, there's a lot to it. But it's an energy of this week ahead. It's just an energy from these cards. If I tap into it and feel of it, is reconnecting once again to something that you love. The 7 of Pentacles is one of like continuing, right? Continuing a craft or a trade, or continuing bringing something and not into existence because you need to monetize it, but it's just the idea of like continuing forth and finding something that you love to do. And it's not like finding a job that you love to do, finding a way to monetize anything that you love to do, but this call to like finding a way to move body, to actually have this like physical way in which you work. And I'm just feeling like craft. I'm feeling like ways, like I feel like my hands are moving. Like, how do you use, what are you using your hands for? Like pottery, like painting, like writing, or maybe massage, or there's something of this way of words, like air energy with the Page of Swords and the Page of Pentacles. But this thing of like, not everything has to be monetized, right? Not everything. And I understand that we're at times that hustle is hustle because bills got to be paid. But it's just this recall of remembering like the joy of things, remembering the joy. And when we remember the joy of actually creating, it opens up the possibilities of like, what are new ways that I can create? What are new ideas? What are new ways that I want to sing, that I want the words to flow out of my mouth? And it's more about this way of creation as art, as connection to spirit. So in this week, I invite you to reconnect or make sure that you honor your sacred space of creation. And don't think about monetizing, don't think about hustling, don't think about anything, like just enjoying creating something, enjoying the love of art, of creation, of writing, of singing for joy, right? Because that's one way also too of connecting with spirit. So this was the episode for the week, my love. That's what I have for you, and I will be back next week. Feeling pretty good. I'm feeling pretty good. I know each time, like throughout these last couple of years, I would get on and I would really think like, this is it. I think I'm coming back, and I do feel like this is really for real. Like this is the time. That's it. Friday with all those planets and Aries, and I don't know, someone might think I'm just bananas to do this, but I think that's when I'm actually going to actually file for my LLC and then get Cafecito and Tarot back up in business and legit, get all my insurance and everything ready. It could be a little bit, I guess, sort of a chaotic energy. Everybody has different interpretations, but I'm going for the fire of it. I'm going for like the initiation of it. I'm going for like the belief in it. And I'm just going for like, this is it. It's a new moon. Yeah, it's a new cycles, new opportunity. I'm here now. I'm rising from the ashes and I'm ready to be of service. So the pod or what my website, I think I'm gonna just have, I'm gonna be redoing it, so soon enough, I'll have a space where you can, like, write to me. I have some emails to catch up on because 'cause I've had people that sent in questions, and I will get to those, and, I will. I will, I will, I will. I've just been I had no business actually having having that up, so when I wasn't able to really tend to those emails, so I will, though. And I'm going to actually now come back up on social. So the Cafecito and Tarot is on Instagram. I started that like a few years ago and I have hardly been on there, usually on my other Instagram page. But you can find me at Cafecito and Tarot on Instagram. I'm going to start coming up on there sometime, little by little. Let's start with the podcast first, and then I'll get into some social media. All right. Whew, I've talked enough. I've talked long enough. So, mad love. Oh, can I just say something else too? I'm really excited. The other piece that I'm going to be sharing, I think, a lot more on the socials is I want to just start doing my deck reviews, and I've read some really like great books, and so I'm really looking forward to like stepping into this role. I'm gonna be offering workshops, mentorship, and just a lot of things that I'm really, really I feel it in my body. I'm ready and excited to. So, anyways, check it out. Come see on Tarot Instagram. Like I said, I think it's like I have 83 people up on there. I haven't been on in a few years, but I'm gonna come up on there and I'll have a lot of really great stuff to share with you. So thank you so much for tuning in. Raising my cafecito to you. Peace coffee is that's what I'm drinking. It's delicious. Be kind, man. Take care of yourself. Be kind to your neighbors. Be kind to, you know, the natural world, the supernatural world. And remember, man. Remember that you're brilliant, you're beautiful, you know, and we're going through some times like never before. And allow yourself the space and the grace to be prepared as you open to expansiveness, to what suddenly resurfaces or is kind of just cut out of your life, forced out of your life, because you got to make room, right? We got to make room. We got to make room. So trust the process, my love. All right. That's it. Peace, love, everything in between. I will talk with you next week. Bye.